Welcome back to another episode of Ways. My name is Osama. My name is not Osama, but my name is Mohammed. I'm here with Osama, and we are Ways, obviously the podcast that you guys all know and love. Make sure to follow us at Ways 2.0 on Instagram. Make sure to follow Osama at Kusa300. Follow myself at Mohammed.global. Guys, we have a special announcement before. Obviously, the podcast and the format was every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 3 exclusive episodes. Now the format has changed. From now on, you can expect new episodes every Monday and Friday, and every Wednesday we'll be uploading a video exclusively on YouTube, right? So obviously with stage 3, everything will be back up. Me and Osama will be recording together. This is actually the first time we'll be recording together, as you guys are listening to this right now. So every Wednesday, expect a very interactive, fun video on YouTube. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, Radio Public, Breaker, Anchor, Overcast, and other platforms. We're going to make sure you guys have better videos, better content, better conversations, and thank you to everyone that's listening. Thank you to everyone that's sharing our videos, and thank you to everyone that's giving us feedback. If you have any topics or you want to come on the show as a guest, hit myself up, hit Osama up, and let us know, all right? It's all about sharing the platform and letting others come in with their voice and who they are. So that's what makes the show fun, and we're very excited to have a beautiful episode for you guys. Today's episode is about toxic people. There's nothing worse than being friends with someone or a coworker or someone who don't really know that much, but you have to work with them or go to school with them, and out of the blue, when you least expect it, they become toxic. So therefore, they might say something, they might do something that's gonna offend you, piss you off when you least expect it. Maybe from your friends, a girl that you like, or maybe from your family members, whatever. So when it comes to people who are toxic, and obviously it's a personality, it's a trait that's very, very boring, selfish. I don't know why people do it, but they tend to do it. How do you deal with that, Osama? How do you deal with people who are toxic?
That's a good question. I feel there's a lot of ways that you could deal with someone that is toxic, and one of the ways is just ignore them, because I feel once you start indulging with the person who is toxic and you start falling for their traps, you're going to piss yourself more, and you're going to mentally hurt yourself. So if you find, for example, Mohammed just basically mentioned how coworkers can be toxic, sometimes family members that you're around can be toxic, sometimes your buddies, your friends can be toxic. If you keep chilling with them or hanging out with them, that's 1x. That's 1x, because that means you're putting yourself in that situation and you're complaining about it, yet you keep going back. You're like, oh, but he's cool, he's funny, I gotta go, or she's funny, whatever the reason, or whoever the person may be. What you have to do is you have to ask yourself, okay, why don't I like this person? Why do I get bad vibes from this person? And once you do a pros and cons list, if there's more cons than pros, that person's toxic, you move on. You don't even have to tell the person, hey, this is why. You just slowly cut them off and you leave and live your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when it comes to people who are toxic, obviously it's not fun. It's not needed, it's not essential, but life is not perfect. You're going to go through things that you least expect. So, and the thing is, when people are toxic, most of the times it happens in the unexpected moments. It usually comes when something just comes up, and that person will attack you out of all people, and which throws you off, right? It could be a boy, someone that you work with. And I think, number one, when someone's being toxic, especially towards yourself, and if it makes you feel bad, sad, hurt, and all these different emotions, number one, just step away from the situation. Don't argue. Don't accuse. Obviously, don't fight. Because if the person's acting toxic towards you, there's an intent, obviously, to throw you off and to make you angry or sad. For you to confront the person, which leads to more words, verbal abuse, or even physical abuse, it only makes you as bad as the person that's being toxic to you in the first place, right? So by you stepping away from the situation, also letting the person know, I do not respect what you're doing it. I don't like this. It's not who you are. And if the person continues to be toxic, hey, you made your mark known. Therefore, just walk away. Walk away with the confidence and understanding that, hey, I did my best. I told the person, and that's on them. They can continue acting like that towards another person. But for me, you know who you are. You're not going to handle that or accept that anymore.
It in a way, is an irritating fact that we're talking about this, right? Because if you think someone is toxic in your friendship, we'll use that as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you friends with that person? I understand you can be respectful because that's your personality. By all means, we love that here at Ways. We're not one. Me and Muhammad aren't ones to start stuff. We're just we don't want to be involved in beef. Just like if we feel someone's toxic, we'll do the best of our ability to do the least interaction with that person, him or her. That's one. Two, this question should even be popping up. Like, if you, it's like, for example, if I tell you this is bad for you, right, and you keep doing it, why are you doing it, right? So this toxic side, or even like, for example, like food, like drugs and alcohol are bad for you, right?
Mhm.
And some people might say, oh well, too much of it is bad. No. Like once you have one, you're gonna have multiple. So similarly, if you put yourself around toxic people, you can get more toxic energy to the point where you're gonna blow up, and you're not gonna lose your like forget your toxic friends. You're gonna lose friends who are around you because then, for example, if I have a toxic friend and I haven't stood up for myself, and Muhammad's around me telling me like advising me, I go up if I blow up on him. What does that say about my character?
Yeah.
I'm not able to stand up and like have integrity for myself.
Yeah. Two wrongs can never make it right. It's a saying that people say. I always say it's something that's annoying, but it's the truth. I always say it's the truth. And being toxic, it's funny. It takes a toxic person to know a person that's toxic, right? So obviously, we don't want to be around individuals who are toxic. We might be toxic ourselves towards other people in certain moments. Like you might say something to your friend, which might have hurt him. Not it didn't hurt him. It's just because you said in a group of people, and maybe your friend is insensitive or he's not as confident as much as he is with you and stuff. So maybe because he said it in front of a group of people, it threw him off, and therefore it hurt his feelings, right? But obviously he's not going to tell you. Especially with guys don't say anything. Or it could be like your sibling, like you have a sister, and he might have said something about her face or her weight or different things. Like you say all these things which could come off as toxic, but you meant it as a joke, right? So that's another thing. Like people might say something that's a joke, they mean it in a good way. They're not trying to be offensive. They're not trying to be hurtful. They just want to be playful and nice. But since they said it, and the way they said it, plus the context, obviously,
Yeah.
people took it a different way. So
For
people
sure.
might be like, "Yo, you're toxic. I don't want to deal with it anymore." So you never know the weight that your words will carry. You never know.
See, so right now I'm on a website. It's a healthline.com. And the title is your relationship toxic? Now, obviously, they're probably referring to a boyfriend-girlfriend kind of vibe, but this also can relate to friendships.
Yeah.
So the first thing they have here is a lack of support. Sometimes so here it basically says your time together has stopped being positive or supportive of your growth. So we'll do that. So when you're with your friends, or actually, another good example is your relationship, which is also a huge part of being toxic sometimes.
Yeah.
If you don't find any support, why are you in that friendship or relationship? You tell me. Like, if you're in your 20s right now, actually, one of my buddies, as I was talking to him, and he was like 20 years old. He was like, I just left high school. It's only been 2 years, and I stopped talking to people. I'm like, dude, I'm 25, and I stopped talking to people from high school. Mohammed, probably the same goes for you. You can probably attest to that. Toxic communication. Instead of treating each other with kindness, most of your conversations are filled with sarcasm, criticism. That can also fill up some anger or fuel towards that certain person, which is a sign to look for. Jealousy. I'm just going to list these off. Controlling behaviors, resentment, dishonesty, patterns of disrespect, negative financial behaviors, constant stress, ignoring your needs, lost relationships, lack of self-care. Those are just a few of things that you can look at as like, oh, are these signs of a toxic person? Right? And yeah, if they are, then I believe you should come to the realization saying, I need to leave.
The thing is, I don't know how it was back then, obviously in different eras, but I know definitely within now the social media era, if you are a toxic person, you'll never find out because no one's going to tell you to your face because everyone goes into interpersonal communication dynamics is done online through face-to-face communication interactions, right? So therefore, if you're a toxic person, no one's ever going to tell you because people just are not used to telling each other's feelings face-to-face, right? So the only way you'll find out if you're smart and lucky enough is through a shade or someone subtweeting you, all these different things online and stuff, right? So you're never going to know in person as much because people don't really address each other in person. Because I think that's just how we are as a society as far as communicating with each other and just talking about feelings and how we feel about different things, right? So no one's going to take the time to let another person know, hey, I think you're toxic and your behavior is intolerable for this X, Y, and Z, and you should change it. No one's ever gonna do that. It's pretty rare. And if people actually do it, Osama, it's done in a way that's kind of toxic themselves, because you're just blabbing all this energy that, like you said, that you built up upon yourself, right? So you're not saying it with ease and understanding. You're just like saying it with hurtfulness and anger,
exactly,
and resentment.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
This is also for the people to also think about. Can a toxic person be changed?
Of course.
How do you go about that?
I'm not gonna use my herbals, but the easiest way just. But the funny thing is, like fire, right? How to get rid of fire? You put water over it, right? So a person is toxic. Can he be changed? Of course. The most beautiful thing about life, man, people who are toxic, like very, very toxic, and they know it too, but they're just arrogant. Whether you believe in God or not, or the universe, whatever you believe in, God is going to humble that person in a way that is so embarrassing for them.
Yep.
That always happens. Like, people are just so toxic. Like, they're just rude, arrogant, all these different things. Karma, whatever. Like, God is literally going to take that person and it's going to sit them down. But when he does it, he's going to do it in a way that it's so embarrassing for that person, the character and the reputation, the persona. Like, so a lot of people, that's what always happens. So it's like, bro, before you even get to that point, don't allow that to happen. So if people are telling you, hey, like, bro, you're doing this and we don't like you because of this, just take that time to reflect. Because if you don't reflect, you're like, no, I know who I am and stuff, and it's going to be very ego-maniacal type of person, you're going to be sat down. And when you do it, it's going to be done in a way that's going to be so embarrassing. And obviously, your ego is going to swallow up. And then after you change after that, right? But it shouldn't get to that point.
Because there's two things. Can a toxic, and I love what you said, can a toxic person be changed? Absolutely. Can he not be changed? Absolutely. There's circumstances what a person has to go through, as you said. Sometimes karma is going to teach him a lesson, but sometimes it could be too late, bro. Sometimes it could be too late. You already done enough damage to people that some people. Also, you got to remember, not everyone's as forgiving as, for example, God might be.
That's true.
Not everyone's as forgiving as the next person might be. So then, the damage you have done, someone's not going to forget. There's an old saying is like, people can forgive, but they won't forget.
Yeah.
Right? And with not forgetting stuff, sometimes forgiveness will be a lot harder because you did that damage to that person of you being toxic. So my question is, why be toxic in the first place? Are you insecure about yourself because you don't have something that someone else does? Mm-hmm. Or are you insecure because you feel like some sort of superiority towards someone else? Because to me, the concept of being toxic is just stupid. Like, ask yourself, do you want to be treated the way you're treating other people?
But actually, the funny thing is, Osama, we live in a time, in a generation where
negativity is like,
it's money. And the funny thing is, most of the time, like growing up, we were toxic, weren't respected. This is actually the only time, like, I think of that being a toxic person,
of course,
like openly toxic, you're actually getting paid from this. You're an influencer, you're a celebrity icon, all these different things. So people are being praised.
Perfect example.
Being toxic.
Perfect example. If Drake drops a record right now, he's gonna go fire. But if he drops a diss record, people are like, oh, he dropped a diss record. Mm-hmm. We live in an era where negativity wins.
Of course.
Right? Negativity wins. When you see, for example, like, I'm not even like, I'll use this as an example. Like, for example, when KSI and Logan Paul fight, they tore each other freaking insults. Yeah. Right? Because they know, as smart marketers as they are, that that's what's going to sell. And people are going to be watching and getting views, right? Mm-hmm. And, all respects to them, that they're doing well in their brand. Mm-hmm. But we live in an era. And, I said this to one of my buddies. I think I've said this to a couple of people. We got away with living in a time where if you were disrespectful, you got away with it.
Of
right?
course.
Because you were in the eyes of a video. And sometimes people who are listening, you taking a video can backfire on you. People don't know that. Like, you taking a video can backfire. Like, what does the video mean? Nothing. Because now, for example, if someone were ever to go, I'm not sure what you did, it means nothing. That video means nothing.
That's funny.
Your voice has been taken away by a video that's only cemented and not even timeless.
Yeah, so the thing is, you being toxic for, let's say, 20 seconds in a 5-minute video when you're like 17 or 18, you might think that video is gone, but if your friend had it and it uploads 10 years later, that'll ruin your career, your job, reputation, all these different things and stuff. Right?
Like, look, for example, actually, I might use that example. We can use it for next video, but what I could say is this. For the person that suggested to talk about this topic, Actually, a lot of people like spoke about it as well. If you have someone toxic in your life, like we all will always have toxic people, but do your best to, you know, stay away from them.
The president, he became president by being toxic.
He became. This is a better example. Like the president of the United States was threatening and being toxic. But again, some people could say it's a smart marketing strategy. Some people could say he's an asshole for doing it.
A lot of people are gonna think like, hey, being toxic actually works. If it makes you being the president or you're Kanye West or whoever, all these different people, and you're praised upon it, and people want you to do more, hey, why not keep doing it? Why, if your bank account keeps growing, why stop it, right?
We could sit here and talk all day about being toxic, but the core reason to me is this is an era, you said it yourself. Yeah. We're living in an era where being toxic is highly respected.
Highly respected.
Okay? For example, I can go to a girl and say whatever I say, and then I have a valid reason. It probably is not valid. It probably wasn't valid back in maybe 5 years ago, let alone 10 years ago, but now it is. Mm-hmm. And but what I mean by that is because social media has made it acceptable to be an asshole over social media, but then you're fake in front of people.
Fake.
There's actually a video I saw today, bro. It's like the person that is always lying about what he has, but that's being toxic.
Yeah.
Like you're always lying about stuff, and when you lie, it's also another form of being toxic, because you're like somewhat insecure of what you don't have.
Yeah.
And going back to your original point when you said, can someone be humbled? Yes, you can. If you're toxic, you're going to be humbled. Maybe secretly, so God, Mother Nature, God, whatever.
Public, but yeah, you will find out.
Whatever you believe in, you're going to be humbled.
Yeah. And
believe me, you will.
And honestly, like when we're talking about toxic, like I think what we're talking about as far as our major points is on big issues, like being toxic in a big way. But it doesn't matter. It could be a small thing, a medium thing, or even a large thing, obviously, right? So it comes in different forms of factors. And once again, we're not perfect. We're toxic ourselves sometimes when we realize it. So it's all about just self-awareness and different ways that we can prove upon it, right? Because you might be toxic in a way you won't even know, and the person might forgive you because the person's like, I know who you are, you're a good person, stuff, right? So it's only unless, like, that's usually how it works. If you're friends, if you know a person that's like really good, everyone knows who he is a good person, stuff. If he's toxic maybe once, it's like, okay, unexpected, but it's cool. I already know who he is. But if it's like a continuous pattern, then you know, oh, he's actually, something's wrong with the person. What's going on? It's not like you. And then you realize that if you have a good conversation, maybe the person's being toxic because they might have gone through something. Maybe it's a family issue, a relationship issue, or just like mental health and stuff.
Sometimes it's having that conversation, you know?
That's it.
Because, you know, you spoke about something like, it's having that conversation is one. Saying, okay, well, is everything okay? Like, as a friend, reach out to that person, right? Yeah. But if they're purposely being an asshole to you, like, and they're like, and you know, like, for example, you've had a conversation, like, nothing's going wrong, then leave. But, so, like, obviously, we're just talking about, like, bigger issues at hand. We haven't really came in depth because this topic is, like, it can go to, like, hours and hours. Yeah. But just add on to Mohammed's point, if you feel, for example, your friend's acting a different way, and because, like, he's going through something, and because of that, he's acting a little bit more toxic, have that conversation with him. And that's why I brought up the question about change. Maybe certain behaviors that are around are causing him to act like that. And it's like he's not his old ways no more.
No, it's funny. Because now that I think about it, I'm like, damn. Like, this is not the only genre, but, like, obviously rap music. Yeah. Rap music is built about being toxic. Like, rappers are built to be arrogant, pompous douches. And then they have to be toxic towards other rappers and create beefs and all these different things. Even though, like, it's actually a good example, but obviously people are not going to respect it. When a person tries to be positive, perfect example is Logic. Yeah. Everyone craps on Logic. It's like, okay, screw Logic because all he talks about is positivity. Yeah. All he talks about is, like, know who you are. All he talks about is just being confident, whatever. Everyone's like, yo, screw Logic because of that. It's like, bro, like, is that a bad thing? I actually want to know yourself, being self-confident, pushing for your goals. You can, instead of being a dreamer, you can actually achieve something. But it's like, no, we want to be toxic. That's what we're known for and stuff, right? So the people that are tearing Logic down right now, such at this moment, is people who built empires off being toxic. But when you have a person that's like, no, like, you can actually be positive, everyone's like, no, who are you? You're wrong. You don't belong here and stuff, whatever. So it got to the point where he's like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to retire because, like, this is just too much. I've 10 years. I try to prove myself and have this goal, have this vision and stuff. But all the time people are telling me that I'm just my vision of being positive for the fans and the industry is wrong. Yeah. I'm just going to retire. Like, this is too much.
You brought up a good example with rap.
Yeah.
One of the two biggest idols of rap obviously happened to be Pac and Biggie.
Yep.
Right? Rest in peace to both of them. And they had a lot of people around them who were toxic, bro.
Yeah.
Who were feeding stuff in their minds.
Yeah.
And honestly, they could have influenced or done stuff a lot better. If you go back, like even people who knew them personally, who were boys like Snoop, other people like Dre, they said personally they were not like that.
Mm-hmm.
But in their music, they would like act different. So my point being is you have to watch out who is in your friend group because that can change your behavior. You have to watch out who you hang out with. You have to watch out what you say. You have to watch out what you do.
Perfect. Yeah, the perfect example. You already know, like, like I'm 24 years old, I'm turning 25. I shouldn't have to worry about going to jail or getting to a fight, a brawl, or anything because of my friend being toxic to others and not knowing how to handle themselves or anything, right? So it's like you should be able to go, you should be able to do certain things, you should be able to go to different places, you should be able to live your life and have no worries, right? But if you're in constant fear, if you're one of those, because we know people like that, if you have to look over your shoulder wherever you go because you're around people who are always toxic and they're looking for toxic energy because toxic masculinity is a real issue. We actually could talk about that too, but I think it's better we have a girl on for an episode like that. It's not worth it, right? Because I always say toxic. That's funny because toxic masculinity, I've been hearing that the past 2 to 3 years, but for an episode like that, I would love to have a girl on the show so we can do toxic masculinity and toxic femininity because everyone who talks about toxic masculinity, obviously that's a big issue, right? Like it's something you can't, but it goes both ways and stuff, right? So that's definitely gonna be a sick episode in the future. We should invite someone on for an episode like that.
Guys, by the way, make sure you can follow us at Waste 2.0.
Yep.
On our Instagram. Myself, Osama, you can follow me at Kuste300.
Yep.
My brother from another mother, you can follow Mohammed at Mohammed.global on Instagram.
Yep.
As Mohammed just mentioned earlier on our podcast, we are now changing up our platform, our just basically updates. So basically Friday we'll be uploading a podcast, and then hopefully going forward every Wednesday there'll be a reaction of some sort or any kind of video.
Yeah. Make sure to listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Breaker, Overcast, and like, comment, share, and subscribe. We appreciate the feedback and the love. More episodes, more content, Monday and Friday, podcast, Wednesday, video exclusively on YouTube. And let this grow, let this manifest, and we appreciate you guys, love you guys, and we can't wait to see you guys next time.
And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope we made you feel something with this podcast. What are you saying? Peace.
Peace.